bomber Iran airstrike strategy explained? At precisely 2:47 a.m. local time, the skies over central Iran looked deceptively calm. There was no siren, no radar alert, no sign of incoming aircraft. Then, a deep rumble beneath the earth. Concrete bunkers shook. Shockwaves tore through reinforced facilities once believed to be indestructible. This wasn't a conventional airstrike. This was the arrival of something far more terrifying. The B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, carrying America's most powerful non-nuclear bombs. In under 5 minutes, the United States had reshaped the balance of power in the Middle East. Welcome to the world of high-altitude ghost warfare, where you never see the enemy coming until it's too late. Introduction: Why Iran was targeted. The world washed in shock as President Donald Trump announced that 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities had been obliterated. Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, names once only familiar to intelligence analysts, were suddenly thrust into global headlines. The reason? Their role in Iran's nuclear enrichment program. Israel had already carried out limited strikes against Iranian military and nuclear installations. But this was different. This was America stepping directly into the shadows of warfare. Trump justified the strike by claiming Iran had crossed several red lines, including advancing uranium enrichment beyond peaceful thresholds and threatening U.S. allies. Diplomacy had failed. Precision firepower followed. While Iranian officials claimed their facilities were evacuated beforehand, satellite imagery and seismic readings suggested otherwise. The scale and depth of the explosions spoke volumes. This wasn't a symbolic attack. It was strategic annihilation. The rise of the B-2 Spirit. The B-2 Spirit didn't just arrive. It emerged from the shadows of Cold War paranoia and technological ambition. Designed in the 1980s and first flown in the early 1990s, it was born from one chilling question: what if the next world war starts without warning? The result was a stealth bomber unlike anything the world had ever seen. With a sleek flying wing design that looked like something out of science fiction, the B-2 was built not just to fight, but to disappear. Its entire purpose? To slip past the world's most advanced air defenses, deliver a crushing blow, and exit before anyone even knew it was there. What truly sets the B-2 apart is its invisibility. While conventional aircraft bounce radar waves like a spotlight in the dark, the B-2 barely whispers across the sky. Its unique coating, smooth contouring, and heat-dampening exhaust systems make it almost undetectable. In fact, on radar screens it often appears no bigger than a bird. Pair that with its mind-blowing range, over 11,000 kilometers without needing to refuel, and you've got an aircraft that can take off from the US, hit a target on the other side of the planet, and be back home before sunrise. It doesn't need to ask permission, it doesn't wait. It strikes and vanishes. But this isn't just a flying ghost, it's a lethal one. The B-2 can carry everything from conventional JDAMs to nuclear payloads, and more recently, bunker-busting bombs like the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator. That's 30,000 pounds of pure destruction engineered to punch through reinforced concrete and hit targets buried deep underground. These aren't general strikes, they're surgical kills. And while the B-2 had proven its effectiveness in previous wars, in Kosovo, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya, it had never faced an opponent with layered air defenses and nuclear ambitions like Iran. That changed the moment it was deployed in the Iran conflict. When America chose to send a message, not with words, but with steel and silence, the B-2 was the weapon of choice. This wasn't just another mission, it was history in the making. Iran's nuclear sites at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan were never supposed to be reachable. But the B-2 proved otherwise. It soared past enemy radar, delivered precision strikes with devastating force, and reminded the world that even in the era of drones and satellites, the B-2 Spirit is still the apex predator of the skies. Strategic timing: why the strike happened now. This wasn't just another military operation, it was a calculated, razor-sharp decision. Just days before the strike, Iran had stunned the world by deploying its new Fatah hypersonic missile in Operation True Promise 3. The missile didn't just break through Israeli air defenses, It shattered the illusion of total air superiority. For Washington and Tel Aviv, it was a wake-up call. Iran wasn't bluffing anymore. It had proven it could strike fast, hard, and deep. And with that, the clock started ticking. Behind closed doors, U.S. intelligence painted a grim picture. Iran's nuclear facilities like Fordow and Natanz weren't just hidden underground anymore. They were evolving, being reinforced with concrete, steel, and depth. Every satellite pass showed new construction, new shielding. Time was running out. Experts warned that if they waited too long, the window to neutralize these sites with conventional weapons would slam shut forever. The deeper Iran dug, the harder it would be to reach them. Action had to be swift and surgical. That's when the call came. President Trump's military advisors laid it out. The only aircraft capable of striking now, with both stealth and force, was the B-2 Spirit. And the only weapon powerful enough to crack open those buried sites was the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator. This wasn't just about timing, it was about survival, of strategic advantage. If the US wanted to stop Iran from reaching the point of no return, this was the moment. Miss it, and Iran's nuclear program could soon be untouchable. So the bombers took off, not in haste, but in cold, calculated precision. Inside the mission. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment strike. It was the result of months of meticulous planning at the highest levels of US intelligence and defense. Every satellite pass over Iran, every intercepted radio signal, and every piece of human intel fed into a classified targeting algorithm. Only a select inner circle of military officials knew the full scope. Precision was everything. The targets, Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, were buried deep, shielded by mountains, reinforced concrete, and layers of deception. The mission had to be flawless. One mistake and the element of surprise would be gone. In the dead of night, two B-2 Spirits silently lifted off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. No lights, no radio chatter. Flying under full MCON Commission's control, the bombers vanished into the black sky. Halfway over the Atlantic, they were refueled mid-air by KC-135 Stratotankers, keeping their presence invisible to all but a few. As they neared Iranian airspace, flight paths were adjusted, minute changes in altitude, direction, and timing designed to evade radar nets and missile locks. It was a ghost operation. No warnings, no detection. The detection. Then came the final descent, silent, sudden, and lethal. At the exact second planned months in advance, the B-2S reached their coordinates. One GBU-57 bunker buster for each target. Fordow, the most fortified, was struck first. Natanz followed just moments later. And then Isfahan. The bombs plunged through rock and steel before detonating deep below the surface. Across the region, seismic sensors registered shockwaves like small earthquakes, and just like that, 3 of Iran's most sensitive nuclear facilities were left in ruins. Mission complete, without a single American footprint left behind. Weapons of choice. The real game changer in this mission wasn't just the stealth of the B-2. It was what the bombers were carrying. Enter the GBU-57A/B Massive Ordnance Penetrator, known in military circles simply as the MOP. At 30,000 pounds, it's the largest non-nuclear bomb in the U.S. arsenal. This isn't a bomb meant to show it's a fortress killer. Developed for one purpose only, to destroy what the world thought was unreachable. The GBU-57 isn't about surface impact. It's a steel-clad monster designed to dive fast and hard, deep beneath the ground before it even thinks about detonating. Its hardened casing lets it punch through up to 60 feet of reinforced concrete or more than 200 feet of earth. And it doesn't explode on contact. It waits, delivers a delayed blast once it's inside the core of the target, turning underground sanctuaries into collapsed ruins. Fordow, Iran's crown jewel of nuclear secrecy, sits buried in a mountain, shielded by layers of rock and concrete. Conventional bombs can't reach it, cruise missiles can't scratch it. But the MOP wasn't conventional. It was built for exactly this moment. The bomb didn't just break through defenses, it smashed straight into the heart of Iran's nuclear maze and tore it apart from the inside. It wasn't just a hit, It was a message, loud, deep, and devastating. Flying undetected, how the B-2 beat Iran's air defenses. Iran's air defense network isn't weak. It's layered with Russian-made S-300 missile systems, mobile surface-to-air batteries, and overlapping radar grids. In theory, this web should detect and intercept any hostile aircraft approaching Iranian airspace. But the B-2 Spirit isn't just any aircraft. It's engineered to break that theory. When the strike began, Iran's high-tech shield looked good on paper. But paper can't stop a ghost. Coated with radar-absorbing materials and shaped like nothing else in the sky, the B-2's stealth design bends radar waves away from enemy sensors. Its serpentine flight path, calculated with satellite precision, took it through radar dead zones and low observable corridors. But stealth alone wasn't the only trick. The B-2's electronic warfare systems lit up silently, jamming Iranian radar frequencies and even feeding them ghost targets. Iranian operators saw flickers, blips, and then silence. By the time they realized they were under attack, the bombs were already buried underground and exploding. What makes the B-2 unique isn't just that it's invisible, it's independent. Most strike aircraft need a whole team: jammers, decoys, fighter escorts. Not the B-2. It's a one-jet operation. No support planes, no warning, just a cold, precise hit. Against Iran's layered defenses, the Spirit didn't break a sweat. It flew in like a shadow and left like thunder, leaving only silence and smoldering ruins behind. Iran's defenses, what failed. Iran had long invested in layered air defenses. Mobile systems like the Rad and Bayvar 373 were strategically placed to defend key infrastructure. The S-300, a gift from Russia, was believed to be their trump card. But none of it worked against the B-2. The radar signature of the Spirit is so small, it often registers as atmospheric noise. Even if Iran had launched interceptors, they likely would have missed. Post-strike analysis showed that no missiles were fired. Iranian forces simply never saw the B-2S coming. This strategic blind spot raises questions about the effectiveness of anti-air systems against fifth-generation threats. Why not use other aircraft? Why didn't the US send in F-22 Raptors or unleash its fleet of combat drones? Simple. None of them could pull off this mission. The F-22 is a master of air-to-air combat, built to dominate the skies. But when it comes to striking deep, fortified underground targets across continents, it falls short in both range and payload. Drones like the MQ-9 Reaper are excellent for surveillance and tactical hits, but they can't carry 30,000-pound bunker busters, and they're far more vulnerable to enemy defenses. The B-2 Spirit is in a league of its own. It fuses stealth, distance, and brute force into one sleek, radar-evading machine. It doesn't need regional air bases or foreign cooperation. It takes off from the U.S. heartland, refuels in midair, and flies halfway across the globe without being seen. And when it arrives, it delivers precision hell from above, dropping GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators with pinpoint accuracy on targets buried beneath mountains of reinforced concrete. No other aircraft in the American arsenal, or anywhere in the world, can do all of that in one mission. That's why the B-2 was chosen, not because it was available, but because it was the only machine built for this job. When the stakes are this high and the target's this hard, you don't send the second best, you send the Spirit. Impact analysis, what was destroyed? Iran tried to control the narrative, claiming minimal damage and quick recovery. But the satellite images told a different story. One of deep craters, collapsed structures, and scorched ground where strategic facilities once stood. At Fordow, the heart of Iran's uranium enrichment program, the centrifuge halls were reportedly wiped out. Natanz, buried deep and once thought unreachable, suffered a direct hit that crippled its underground command center. Isfahan, home to critical storage depots and research infrastructure, was left in pieces. But the impact went far beyond concrete and steel. The psychological shockwave was seismic. Iran had invested billions and decades into building what it believed were impenetrable fortresses. The B-2 strike shattered that illusion in minutes. Tehran now understands no mountain is deep enough, no radar wall thick enough. The veil of invulnerability is gone. Its enemies can reach deep, fast, and with terrifying precision. For the US and its allies, the operation was a statement, a show of technological superiority, global reach, and political resolve. For Iran, it wasn't just a tactical setback, it was a painful wake-up call. This was no longer theoretical warfare. This was real, brutal, and a reminder that in the age of stealth bombers and bunker busters, even the safest place might not be safe at all. Global reactions and escalation risks. The international response was immediate. Russia condemned the attack while Israel praised it. China called for restraint. The UN held an emergency session. Tehran vowed revenge. Pro-Iranian militias across the region were placed on high alert. In the hours following the strike, rockets were launched at US bases in Iraq and Syria. The region teetered on the edge of full-scale war. Yet the message was clear. The US retains the ability to enforce red lines decisively, and when it chooses to act, it can do so without a single aircraft appearing on radar. The future of stealth warfare. The success of the B-2 Spirit wasn't just a military win, it was a preview of what's coming next. Enter the B-21 Raider, America's next-generation stealth bomber. Already in the advanced stages of development, designed to be even harder to detect and smarter in combat, the B-21 will feature cutting-edge digital warfare systems, adaptive stealth skin, and the ability to operate autonomously. If the B-2 was the ghost in the sky, the B-21 is the phantom that learns and evolves. Stealth aircraft are no longer just tactical tools. They are now strategic game-changers. The ability to silently cross borders, strike fortified targets, and disappear without a trace is no longer science fiction. In an era of hypersonic missiles, AI-guided weaponry, and multi-dome conflict, stealth is more than survival, it's dominance. The Iran strikes didn't just knock out nuclear sites. They demonstrated that stealth power is the new high ground in modern warfare. And now, the world is watching. Military planners in Beijing, Moscow, and beyond are reassessing their defenses. Allies are rushing to invest in stealth tech. From the skies over Iran to the boardrooms of global strategy, one message is loud and clear. In the wars of tomorrow, those who can't be seen will decide what is seen. Ultra. In just one night, 3 decades of US stealth innovation were tested and proven in the real world. The B-2's raid on Iran wasn't just about military might. It was about psychological dominance, technological supremacy, and strategic clarity. The next time the B-2 takes off, the world will watch, not with curiosity, but with fear. What do you think? Can Iran rebuild its nuclear defenses? Or has the B-2 redrawn the map of modern air warfare? If you found this breakdown insightful, like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most powerful military technologies.